Coming to us from Parliament House, North Terrace, Adelaide, we've got the member for Narunga, Fraser Ellis. Fraser, how are you going today?
Very well, thank you, Ricky. Thanks for having me.
On your agenda, it sounds like you're going to make a push on getting an inquiry into health services. Just tell us more about how you're going to try and make this happen.
So, Ricky, I'm sick of passing on the concerns of our local community and lobbying as best I can for improvements to our local health services. So we've launched a petition because a petition, once it hits the magical number of 10,000 signatures, automatically triggers an inquiry in Parliament on the record, at which we can ask the important questions to those with the power to make decisions. So that's what we're doing. We're on the hunt for 10,000 signatures, and although I'm loath to launch another inquiry after all the plans and task force and strategy meetings and all that sort of stuff that we've had, this is the tool we have available to us to draw attention to the issue, so that's what we're on the hunt for.
Well, we'll get into the local issues about this in a moment, but just on the technicalities here, first of all, what does the petition actually call for?
It's got 5 parts, and those parts are, firstly, that we're calling for the equitable distribution of general practitioners across South Australia, particularly across regional South Australia. We're calling for a dedicated regional health minister who can bang on the cabinet table on our behalf. We're calling for the urgent reclassification of Wallery Hospital so that it's more in line with the catchment area that it services. And we're calling for South Australian public hospitals to be staffed and funded according to the catchment area rather than historical activity statistics. And finally, it's calling for the realignment of the local health network boundaries so that the Port Pirie Hospital would be shifted into the adjacent one, the Iron Triangle one essentially, and the Yorke and Northern one would be consolidated somewhat.
And is this a petition people have to physically sign, or can they sign it electronically?
Unfortunately, the rules of Parliament still dictate that the petitions need to be hand-signed, so I'm working on getting pages all around the peninsula in different shops and community venues so that there's easy access for as many people as possible, but unfortunately they still have to be hand-signed.
And when you read out those terms of reference, at least the first couple were quite of broad relevance, I think, to people even beyond the Yorke Peninsula as well. It's not exclusive to people who live in your electorate to sign that petition, I gather.
No, it's not. It's probably equal parts both. There's obviously the biggest issue, I think, in regional South Australia is the equitable distribution of general practitioners, and that's the first and most important issue on the petition. And while we acknowledge that there's a couple of other issues there, like there's a shortage of people that are actually choosing to study to become general practitioners, and there are limited levers that the state government can pull to influence general practice itself, these are the things that government should be doing. This is solving problems that actually impact real people in the real world. So at the very least, we should be lobbying the federal government loudly to make those improvements, and at the most, taking proactive steps somehow, some way to ensure that there's change.
Well, to get those 10,000 signatures over the line, I guess people can get in touch with you through your office or social media, or if they're outside the electorate and have to physically sign it, they might find a way to get their name down.
Yep, they can get in touch with me, and as I alluded to earlier, I'm doing my best to make sure there's pages everywhere and everywhere around the place, so that quite a few businesses and venues that you walk into hopefully should have pages available to sign once I've got closer toward the end of that process. So that's what I'm working toward.
Okay, and so when it comes to the health needs on the peninsula itself, where are these most acute? You know, where are communities having to travel, for instance, the furthest to be able to see a general practice doctor?
Well, we've got a general shortage across the peninsula. I think we're more fortunate that maybe some areas we've got general practice spread evenly across the peninsula, but there are shortages, and I think the other part of it is it's not just seeing someone, but then we have a constant stream of undesirable experiences that have been shared with me about people who have had to use an emergency service at a hospital somewhere and haven't quite been up to standard compared to what they would have expected. So it's not just seeing doctors, but it's ensuring that we have enough well-qualified doctors so that it's as good an experience as you can hope for in such a situation.
Now, I noticed when you shared this on social media that you're certainly positive about the efforts of those that are working in the health services on the peninsula. It's just that they need more help.
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you, Ricky. I should stress that point. I certainly aren't criticising any of the wonderful people that we have working in our hospitals and general practice clinics around the place. doing their best in what is increasingly a system that isn't necessarily supporting them as much as it should be. So those wonderful people who are working there are doing their best, but we just need to support them a bit more, I think.
And in this call in the petition for a dedicated regional health minister, I noticed that in New South Wales there's a push from some independent MPs to actually have a separate country health department. We have the Country Health Local Health Network. They're saying we need an independent department in states for country health issues because they're unique.
Yeah, so the local health networks were an initiative of the previous government, which was designed to decentralise the bureaucracy and return local decision making to local people. The jury's probably still out whether that has had that effect, and it might well need more time to mature before we see the true benefits of it. But even if that regional health minister presides over a bureaucracy that is decentralised in the form of local health networks, I still think it'd be a benefit to us having someone at that cabinet table, going into bat for us, banging the fist on the table and ensuring that the problems that are essentially distinct from the ones that we see in metropolitan Adelaide have got proper representation at the cabinet table. So,
all right. Well, if people want to engage with that petition effort to get an inquiry into health services in regional SA, look up Fraser Ellis, member for Narunga. That's Narunga with 2 Gs, and you'll be able to get in touch with Fraser and support that petition.
Yeah, and on my website it's got all the info too, Ricky. So fraserellis.com.au. So it's got some pages if you want to print them out and do some legwork, and it's got an information sheet about explaining the clauses in a bit more detail if you're just interested.
Yeah, that's a good point, actually. People go to your website, print the website and collect the signatures themselves.
If they want to, yeah.
Yep, all right, there you go. If you're keen, that's the way to go about it. Fraser Ellis, member for Narunga, thanks for joining us today on Flow.
Thanks for having me, Ricky. Appreciate it.